Good morning, afternoon, depending on when you're watching this, evening maybe, but live time right here, Central Standard Time, it's the morning. And welcome. I'm back. It's Meg, your light summoner. And today I want to talk to you about perfectionism and its traps. Got some ladies rolling in here. What up, Constance? Hello, Miss Melissa. Thurza. How y'all doing? If you're joining or just jumping on, we'll wait a couple minutes while some people jump in here. Make sure you say hello in the chat so I can as well say hello back to you. What up, Donna Broadwell? So great to have so many of you here, your lovely faces. Stick with me. This is going to be a short stream, so I'd love to have you for the entirety of it. Trying to wrap this up in 10 minutes here, so this is what I'm going for, so stick with me. So today I want to talk to you about perfectionism and its traps. I want to talk to you about a very real lived experience for me and something that I'm still traversing, because if you know anything about me and the way that I coach or the way that I work is that I learn by doing and I teach by sharing, right? So anything that I'm going to talk to you about on these live streams or anything that we're going to work through in our sessions together is more than likely something that I have traversed and worked through myself, right? Because that keeps me in integrity. I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. I'm not here to tell you it's all, leprechauns and rainbows and pots of gold. It's not the case. And what I have seen in my life, in the lives of people I love, in the lives of my clients, is this idea of perfectionism. And perfectionism is fueled with fuck tons of traps, booby traps, right? Hey, Claire, what up? So when I think about perfectionism, I think about my young adult life and my kind of like corporate life when I was corporate Megan. Had longer hair, not as edgy. And in that time, I could not handle making mistakes. I would do everything that I could avoid to make a mistake. And what did that result in? It resulted in trap number one, which was people pleasing. This idea, and this is a myth, that if you make other people happy, you'll get it right. If you take care of other people and make sure their needs are met, then you'll be all right. Right? It's trap number one. This idea that by pulling the strings and controlling the things around you. What up, Dee? Welcome. That by controlling the things around you, that you could in turn make it right. So trap number one, you can't fix anybody but yourself. And in trying to align certain circumstances just right, there is this failed perception that you can achieve perfectionism, right? And maybe even the trap that we should put out there first is that perfectionism is an unrealistic idea that is unachievable. I still struggle with this one. And I think anybody in business or in life, anybody that's chasing a dream, anybody that has some semblance of passion inside of them, that wants something and tastes something so close to them but is just out of reach, will fall back on the laurels of perfectionism. If I had only done it better. If I had only tried a little bit harder, if I had, done this or done that or said this, or I should have done this, or I could have done that. The reality of the situation is that perfectionism makes you feel less than all the time because it's an unrealistic, unachievable goal. If you feel that, give me some likes here in the chat. Tell me what your battle with perfectionism looks like, because I'm curious. Another trap of perfectionism is that it sometimes is often tied to our self-worth. I will be more loved if I am more perfect. I will be more well received if I check all of the boxes. I will be able to be happier, be this, be that, if I'm perfect, if I'm perceived as perfect. And here's the deal. This is why it's a trap, is because perception is reality. My perception of what is perfect is not your perception of what is perfect, is not somebody else's. And perfectionism is not a real thing. You can't be perfect, right? And it seems like when you are in a perfection tornado, an anxiety from tornado of wanting things to be perfect, it is hard to spin yourself back into being centered, right? So some things happening over in the chat, let me share with them. Claire shares, as a mom, we often made to feel less than perfect if we don't follow the books that tell you what motherhood should be, right? Everybody's barking orders at you. And listen, this is more prevalent than anything with social media, with PTA meetings. I don't have any children, but I have a lot of friends who have navigated mom shame. Shit is real. For Dee, she says, it's my need to be right. Whew, that's a heavy one, right? When our pride and our ego are shoving us to be perfect. And then we realize when we step back and look at the situation that we were wrong. This happened to me last night, and kind of why the topic's coming up for me is that I was so frustrated about a situation, because I just moved, with Wi-Fi. I hope my Wi-Fi signal is working okay right now, that I let my attachment to perfection, I need that Wi-Fi signal to be perfect. I let it fuel me and anger me and let my temper flip off. And then I had to step back and I dealt with the shame and the guilt and the heaviness of not being perfect. And like Dee said, it's my need to be right. I want to be right. I want to be perfect. I want to get everything done. I want to check all the boxes. Unrealistic expectations. Expectations, wait for it, ready? Expectations are premeditated disappointments. They're premeditated resentments. If I have an expectation that the Wi-Fi is going to hook up and it's going to be the fastest fucking Wi-Fi in all of town, guess what I'm setting myself up for? Disappointment. And disappointment and perfectionism are so interwoven. Constance shares in the chat, I'm a recovering perfectionist. Me too. I identify as this. Because here's the deal. If you can give voice to the fact that you are coming out of something, that is a powerful piece of self-awareness, right? It means that by saying, I'm attached to perfectionism right now, but I'm in recovery for that, so let me clean up my act. Let me get clear on what I need. It gives you, it re-empowers you to overcome that. And Claire's right. Perfectionism leads to guilt. Not only am I a recovering perfectionist, real talk, I'm a recovering Catholic. So my perfectionism is often tied up to the institutionalized upbringing of Catholicism that is wound up in my being. And I'm untangling that. And the real talk is that the work can be done. Right? If you're feeling guilt, if you're feeling shame, remember that these emotions serve nobody. They don't serve you. They don't serve your family. They don't serve your friends. They don't serve your coworkers. They don't serve the world. But you know what does? Love. Love serves the world. And nowhere in perfectionism is there a semblance of love. There's hate. There's resentment. There's all of these low vibrational emotions that keep us stuck. David says, the fourth agreement, always do your best. True story. Always do your best. And when you're always doing your best, you can be with that, right? Here's what I find about perfectionism, David, and always doing your best, is that perfectionism sets a trap that your best isn't good enough, right? And I've had people come up to me and say, just stop it, just let it go. And there is something inside of there that needs to be trained out of it. So that is a really, really great piece of awareness. Constance says, perfectionism steals your joy, as does comparison. And isn't perfectionism almost comparison? Well, they're perfect, they got it right, I didn't, right? What's thieving you of your joy? Hey, Sandy. Sandy saying hello. We got a bunch of people here. If you're just jumping in, drop your name in the chat so I can say hello to you. We got a couple minutes left here, trying to keep these things short here. So what we've gone over so far is that perfectionism has traps, right? Perfectionism has traps that makes you feel guilt and shame, stuckness. It makes you think that you're never going to be loved. It's directly tied to your self-worth. And there are antidotes for perfectionism. There are ways that you can put yourself into recovery. And the first antidote for that is accepting that the dialogue inside of you needs some tidying up. What does your inner dialogue sound like? You know, I did a video a couple months ago that the biggest bully I ever met was the voice inside my head, who told me I wasn't good enough, who told me I wasn't worth anything unless I checked all the boxes and did everything right. And that when I really turned the mirror on myself, I wasn't upsetting other people, I was disappointing myself. So one of the other antidotes to perfectionism is practice. What practices, what rituals, what connection are you developing with your higher self so that you can show up and wrap yourself around the parts of you that are imperfect? Let me repeat that for you. What can you do to show up for yourself and accept the fact that you will never be perfect, that you will disappoint yourself at times, that you will disappoint others, and that is not directly correlated to your self-worth? Perfectionism is overcome by heaping doses of self-compassion. And when you exercise that self-compassion, you give yourself the opportunity to show up and try again. Because if you're making mistakes, you're making decisions. And if you're making decisions, you're moving forward. And if your decisions lead to mistakes, it's experience. And there's value and awareness in that if you open yourself up to it. Where you won't get the value and awareness is if you lay in bed self-loathing all day. My mom gave me an egg timer once, one of those sand timers, and she said, this is how long you get to feel bad for yourself. This is how long you get to sit with your guilt and your shame and your pain. And this is how long you get to identify with it. I'm not saying to dismiss the things that are coming up for you. I'm saying to own them, to take personal responsibility for what you can control and what is out of your control. I'll tell you what you can control are other people, other people's perceptions of you, what other people think of you, what other people are doing, and all of the ideas that you think you have some semblance of understanding around. What you can control is you. So if you are struggling with perfectionism, if you feel overwhelmed by the grip of maybe fucking up or making a mistake or disappointing somebody, I want you to do some mirror work. I want you to get a sand timer. I want you to find some practice that is going to help you love yourself more. If you scream and squirm when somebody compliments you, it's probably because you're not aligning with the things that they're seeing inside of you. But remember that other people's gratitude is a reflection of your love, of your creative genius. Other people complimenting you is a way for you to see yourself even deeper, only if you open yourself up to it. And you can only open yourself up to it if you are in alignment with the fact that you are perfectly imperfect, you are enough, and that you're right where you are supposed to be. Yes, Claire, the serenity prayer works in all situations. For those of you who don't know the serenity prayer, it is goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, and the wisdom, the Wednesday wisdom, the wisdom to know the difference. Because there is a difference between what you can control and what you can change and what you can't. And when we start to shed this perfectionism and this attachment to it, we get to own all of the space we want to take up in the world. We get to shine brighter. And that, my friends, Here it comes, little offer for you is why I am here. This is the path that I'm on, right? I've been walking this path of being a recovering perfectionism, is untangling the grip of codependency, of owning my voice, of finding my path and shining my light so that other people can do the same. I launched my business on Monday. I've had such an amazing reception. Thank you to people that have booked 30-minute sessions with me. I am offering these 30-minute sessions until December 12th. Okay, so what does that look like? You, me, one-on-one, you book with me, we hop on the calendar, we can talk about any topic you want. Okay, we can talk about solutions to get you unstuck. We can talk about clarity. We can talk about what you need to do to find more spiritual, more soulful connection with yourself, with source, with whatever you need to bring in the way of spiritual sustenance. We can talk about love. We can talk about loving yourself. We can talk about business. I don't know if y'all know, I'm a pretty hefty, fancy, savvy marketer, but I'm about marketing with soul and marketing with integrity and marketing from a place that feels in highest alignment with who you are, because that's what people want. Your family, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, they don't want some prettied up, buttered up version of you. They want you. And you can only get to you if you do the work to show up to be you, to own that you don't have it all figured out, that you might need a little bit of support. And maybe you need somebody, a third party, if you will, to help you break out of that and give you that clarity. So I put the link up here in the description of this video. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay on the replay. I would love to hear from you. I'll come back and dive into the comments here. But grab these sessions. They're filling up pretty fast, which is like, whew, it's totally humbling. It really is. And I'm here to help you own your story, own your path, and shine your light, right? You are all beacons. And if your light bulb needs to be switched out, let's grab a little metaphorical ladder and do it together. You're never alone. There's tons of support out there for you. So seek it and find it and create your own freedom. That's how we live a life full of intention. So here's to all of the recovering perfectionists out there who are showing up, doing the work, giving it their all, and doing their best. Here's to you. I'm celebrating you. I hope to hear from you soon. Check back tomorrow. We'll have another topic, another juicy topic. If you have something you want me to touch on, something that is ailing you, or you would love to hear my insight on it, just drop it in the comment. I'll be sure to take all of that input and go from there. I see you all. I love you all. Keep doing what you're doing. And remember, the reward is in the journey. Big hugs, big love, my friends.